Hello, friends. This is Jesse Juarez, president of the Rotary Club of sunny Seaside, California. You're watching a presentation which was recorded live at one of our club meetings. Seaside Rotary meets via Zoom twice a month. Our meetings feature dynamic presentations from many of the movers and shakers that make Monterey County such a vibrant and hardworking community. If you'd like to join a meeting or learn more about Rotary and the work that we do, you can reach out to Seaside Rotary Club at gmail.com. Again, that's Seaside Rotary Club at gmail.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more dynamic content. Daryl Choates. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And say to all the members of the Rotary, it's funny, the last time I spoke with the Rotary was 16 years today. Ronald Barnes' father was in charge of the Rotary then. And I still have my little Rotary pin that they gave me that night. That was at what was that, in the American Legion, when that's where they used to meet. But thank you for allowing me to present whatever I have. I mean, I'm pretty active in doing a lot of things. I'll start with the Del Monte Manor because I want to start with that because you guys, this organization is a shareholder and a property owner of that facility, in which mostly of you, I hope, are still aware of the updates that I've been sharing. And you have a representative that sits on the Civic Lead, Miss Geraldine, that is now the president of the Civic Lead, which is if you look at the whole pattern, we're all just one. There's 5 shareholders and 5 owners of the Civic Lead and the Del Monte Manor. Well, so on the Del Monte Manor issue, we've had a name change. The name change is now HIM Apartments, which is Hamilton Ellis Martin. The board selected that name based on the fact of those were the founders of this organization that came together, all the nonprofits that came together to put the Del Monte Manor together way back in 1958, I believe it was. And the nonprofits all came together. Back then, nonprofits were considered pretty much the government because they were very strong. Most people wanted to be on a nonprofit and were very instrumental. Rotary was very big back then in the city of Seaside. So for you guys to be still around, I think that's a great accomplishment and a great honor to still be around and still have assets sitting in the peninsula. So at the same time, I want to let you know we are almost on the completion of a $41 million renovation. It should be completed by December of this year. I will say that the facility is now 100% affordable housing. We have no longer, and you've known there was people that were making over $100 and something thousand living in a low income housing. So we have came in full compliance with what the Rotary and the churches and the nonprofits vision was to keep it as a low income, low and affordable housing unit. We are now 100% that. So we are at the end of the $41 million tax allocation bond investment. It came out very well. If you've been by there, you'll be very happy. Within the next 10 days, you're going to start seeing posts going up where we will be putting a beautiful iron gate around it. And that's for control and to keep the landscaping and just to make the facility as safe as it can be. I will like to brag that we have not had an incident up there in now over 4 years that was tied to our facility. You have a very good board of directors. I heard Ray Pope on the line. He is a board member, Annalisa Mitchell, and myself. And we do still report to the Civic Lead, which is Miss Geraldine, which is the president. If you ever need to come and visit the facility, you're welcome to. Just come on up. and we can give you a tour and all that. And we will try to always, as always, send out monthly updates, which we do send them to the city. That is your update for your property that is at the Del Monte Manor, the old Del Monte Manor. A little bit about me. I've been born and raised in the city of Seaside. I've been here 58 years because that's all I am. I am not proclaiming 59 yet, and I'm not saying I'm too young to be 57, but I feel like I'm 39. But I will say I've lived here. My family has a long history here. We were the second African-American family that lived on the Monterey Peninsula. We transitioned from Texas to Pacific Grove when most African-Americans lived in Pacific Grove, and then moved to the city of Seaside, to where I'm sitting right now used to be chicken coops, and I'm sitting in the inside of Greater Victor Temple, believe it or not. Used to be a chicken coop right here in this spot where I'm sitting. And my family goes back from 1898. If you've ever heard Jerry Smith speak, my cousin, he would always use that and say that, you know, how deep our family is. And so we've seen the transition of Seaside, and we've seen the changing of Seaside from a military community, well, first an infantry community, to a regular military community, to a non-military community. I served 16 years on the city council. I know some say that I wasn't, but I was the longest living and the longest elected official in the city, because I was voted in for 4 times and other persons were appointed and then voted. I served the city for 16 years, did a number of projects and a number of things. The teen center is one of the things, the Boys and Girls Club. So I was very instrumental in making sure that we got our youth up to the province of where we have our adults. At one point, it was young people just had no direction, nowhere to go. I can say I can feel comfortable that our youth has at least advantages of being able to go somewhere, and our community has prospered by it. I am the founder of, when Fort Ord closed, I served on the Fort Ord Reuse Authority for a short period of time. And I served on a number of city commissions and boards as far as the Monterey Peninsula Regional Water Control Agency and all. I chaired that for 16 years. I sat on LAFCO. I sat on a number of boards and all. So as far as government, I think I've done quite a bit. I finally got out of office in 1980. No, well, it's been so long. It's been 8 years. So 8 years ago, I got out of office. I was out, and I began to start to review my life and say, what can I do to make Daryl have a successful life, at the same time be a part of my community? And if you're aware, back in 1990, I was successful in going through a competition of about 240 business venture people. And I was successful in receiving the Ord Market out in Fort Ord. And I say it's been 23 years I've had that facility now, and God has blessed it, and it's been doing very well. Unfortunately, I'm at the point where I want to transition out to a new venue, and to get there is how I got there, was the Monterey Bay Blues Festival. So I used to be a paper boy, and then I used to be the manager of the paper truck and drive the papers to the paper boys. And then I moved up through the ranks of the retail grocery business, and I did total 37 years, 23 years on my own. But it Monterey Blues Festival with very good people, Billy DeBerry, Ruben Simpson, Josh Stewart, Martin Puentes, Lee Durley. These names are community icons that in the music world around here. One day I was in the Royal Barbershop. Some people might know that, some won't know that. And I was a little picklehead boy that just happened to have to get down there because your mama said, take this $2.50 and go get a haircut. That's all it was. At the time, Gus Lewis was still cutting hair back then, and him and Curtis. And I had to go down to the Royal Barbershop to get my $2.50 haircut, which was nothing but a cavatus. And if you don't know what a cavatus is, now that I'm 58, I wear a cavatus all the time. It's called bald. And that's what they used to give all of us kids for $2.50. So I went down to Gus and them's location on Broadway. The building is still there. The facility is not. I mean, the business is not there. And as I sat in that chair to get my haircut, I'm listening to, I consider the founders of our peninsula, Billy DeBerry's and Gus and all them, and they began to talk about music and how music is so fulfilling and music is this and music is that. And they talked about, we should start our own little festival. And they did. Those gentlemen came together and started what you call the Blues Catfish Festival. That was the first one down at the fairgrounds, called the Catfish Festival. And the Catfish Festival did very well, and eventually it didn't do too well. And that same group and more came together. We had a gentleman that worked with the city of Seaside in the community center, Lewis Jackson, that was from the East Coast and very familiar to music and very familiar. And I'll tell you, when he was alive here in the city, we used to have all kinds of musicals. And so they became the Monterey Bay Blues Festival. And that festival was around for 27 very successful years, probably brought the small from Albert King to Betty Wright to James Brown, and all of the big names came to this Monterey Peninsula based on the fact of them gentlemen coming together, starting the Monterey Bay Blues Festival. And unfortunately, I was lucky at the age of 23 that Mr. Billy DeBerry, at an event I went to of theirs, I said, man, I would really love to be on the board. And he said, well, hold on. He pulled together, back then, Bill Jackson was the president. And he pulled Bill Jackson together and said, this young man need to be on the board. Now, there was no young people on the board. It was just, I call my senior people. And they put me on the board as an associate director. And I called that the training age. And I learned the different things about running a festival and running, listening to music and how to pick music and how to start a festival and how to line up a festival, and became the chairman of the bars and vendor setup and all these different things that run the festival. I always say the background of the whole festival. And I did that for the years that I was there until Freddie Davis passed away, and they moved me up to be the head director, which was in charge of the whole layout of the entire fairgrounds of the Monterey Festival. Now, remember, if you've been here, that festival covered one end to the other end of the fairgrounds, and the average was anywhere from 20 to 30,000 people would show up every weekend for 3 days. It started off as a 2-day festival and went into a 3-day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and became very, very successful. That gave me the drive of really just loving to do that work. I used to sit and talk with Lee Durley, which still does that same thing with his international festival. I just loved it. And I recall when we used to always trying to find facilities to host a blues event, how to just have a kickoff for the blues or bring people together. And the people on this peninsula just love blues and they love jazz. And I started going into a couple of years ago thinking, I've been running the Retirement Social Club and putting on comedy shows and bringing in some live music. And it was overwhelmingly way too big for the Retirement Social Club. It grew too big. And I said, I appreciate working for you as a nonprofit. At one point I was on the board of almost 15 to 20 different nonprofits. And thank God I'm only on now 3 that I do care about and I want to finish with. So that gave me the drive and the motivation of let's try to do something. And now the vision of Lower Broadway, back when I was on the city council, that vision came to fruition. Right now, believe it or not, the councils that are there presently now get the benefits of the vision that started 10, 15 years ago. And, you know, and it's very good. So after going through a little brainstorming, looking at my finances and all, I decided that I think what really needs to happen down there, after talking to some of the staff members, Slick Rick and them, about what their vision is on Broadway, I figured it was worth the investment to start a facility where we can bring live entertainment and live comedy, and we can continue to make the city have something. You know, every city kind of has their little downtown. And Seaside never really had their downtown, but we've now got it. So we got to bring the instruments to that downtown. And I thought Deja Blue was the right instrument to bring to downtown, with the vision of focus on live blues, live jazz, and live comedy. Now, that does not exclude locals that just are lovers of music, because we have certain programs within there and days where they can just come and do a jam session, or, you know, do different music to try to get on the big stage, we call it. And if you've been in the club, you'll see it's set up pretty much like a blues festival. We have a very good, nice courtyard outside. We have a nice, large stage. And if you are able to get on that big stage, which we call the Leon Joyce stage, as you perform, it shows throughout the entire building on 9 different large screen TVs, to where crowds don't have to circle in one spot. They can be anywhere on the property and be able to see the show that's going on inside. It's a very unique type of atmosphere we have. We do get a lot of denominations in there. We do get a lot of people that just love music. It's been working very successful. I'm very proud of it. COVID does play a big role in it. We're now more into the patio area, which is nice. And we were doing very well with that for the last 3 weekends, and had live music out there, which was really growing. And now, of course, COVID has stopped the live music in the patio. So we're kind of still moving on. We're we still have some music, not live, but we do have music. And then we do watch the games and stuff. And it's a very warm atmosphere. I think you would really love it if you came down there and seen how it is. But once we get back into the inside, if the county hurries up, which we will be very happy about, we will go right back in the live music and the live comedy. We were very successful with the comedy. We bring in entertainments. If you don't know the history of some of it, Cedric the Entertainer, I use him as one of the famous comedians that are still out there, and the kings of comedy and stuff. He's been all over the world and all over television. You know, we brought him here to the Odemeyer Center in Seaside years back. And that we just piggybacked off of that with Larry Lala, one of the biggest comedians that are still out and around. So we're really enjoying it. I think the Deja Blue facility is a part of one instrument that they can have down on Lower Broadway. And I want to say to the city of Seaside, because I know the mayor's on this line, if it wasn't for the city of Seaside, I probably would have not went forward with this facility, because the staff was very supportive of seeing the vision that they would love to see down Lower Broadway. And it was very warm to say, okay. And then the policies that the council did make by opening up a certain window to where businesses can move in there and get through the whole process, get through the entire process without paying thousands and thousands of dollars of revenue that you didn't have at the beginning. Those programs are what drives business and entrepreneurs to want to open up a facility. And I think I would recommend they do it again, because I always say, and I'll tell anybody, sometime an empty lot is great. But if you put a building on there, it's better, because now you got tax dollars. So empty lots should not cost you money to have something built on it, allow it to build, and then start receiving the revenue, because an empty lot is no money. And they did that down Lower Broadway and allowed businesses to say, okay, take what we have down here and make it something. And that's the livelihood of Deja Blue. I fully support the council moving forward and keep doing things. We got a lot of work to do, and we'll have a downtown Broadway. Our future is really exciting, because we are instrumentally setting ourselves to be ready to help the city with outdoor musicals down Lower Broadway. We really wanted to help and be that. We've talked to a number of businesses that want to play a role in this, and we're going to be doing that too. So in a nutshell, that's how Deja Blue came about, where it's going, and where we're headed. We would fully like to see each and every one of you in there, because we feel this is not our club. And that when the mayor cut the ribbon for it, we've always said it's not our club. This is the community club. This is where you don't have to go to Monterey, have a drink, and then worry about how you're going to get back to Seaside before the police pull you over. Well, you can be right down the street, and the neighborhood is awesome because they walk over there every day and enjoy themselves. So thank you guys, Rotarians. I think you guys are still called that, right? Because I remember that's what they used to call it.
Right.
And in the late man that I've always, and that what made me like the Rotarians was Richard Woods. And you know, we lost Richard a year ago. Woody, they used to call him. I still attend the crab feed in Santa Cruz every year for the Rotarians, or the Rotary groups in general. And I always have supported you guys and think you guys do a very, very good job. And I thank you for allowing me to speak and all, and I'll answer any questions anybody has.
All right, and I'd like to, if anyone has any questions, I'm more than welcome you to unmute yourselves. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the meeting too, normally we ask attendees if you have a question, type into the chat box window. That's on me, but in any case, like I said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself there. First thing, Daryl, I'd like to say is, you know, I applaud you and everything that you've been doing and your involvement with Deja Blue, bringing, you know, such an important, I mean, culture is such an important thing. Music is such an important part of any culture, and be able to have a venue where performers and artists can share that with the public, I think is fantastic. And as well with the work with Del Monte Manor. I will say that I've only been working here in Seaside for a little over a year and a half now. As I mentioned earlier, I primarily was a Salinas native, and so for the past year and a half of my work here at the Boys and Girls Club, I've been learning so much about Seaside and its history. And so it was really cool to be able to hear about just your history and your family's, you know, long, very, very deep roots in this community.
You work with my cousin Ron Johnson.
Yes, he is my boss. Absolutely. Our fearless leader there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one question I had actually regarding Del Monte Manor. A little bit of I hate to keep tooting the horn of Boys and Girls Club, but I will say that we have actually been supporting Del Monte Manor on a weekly basis. We do get food boxes from
Yes.
Farmers to Families USDA food box program, and we've been able to distribute some of those boxes at Del Monte Manor. In addition, every week we also distribute some grab-and-go meal bags that are assembled here at the Seaside Clubhouse, and those are distributed to residents of Del Monte Manor. But my question, though, was with Del Monte Manor, I have seen firsthand just all the construction going on. I mean, I've seen photos of what it used to look like, and it's just amazing, just everything, the transformation that's happening there. Roughly, how long has that those plans been in place, or when did the discussion for this transformation start?
Well, you know, the facility has not been upgraded from the day it was built on HUD funds in 46 years. And with the direction, we first came in 3 years ago, put a new management in place, and then set out a vision, the board. And within the last 3 years, we were able to go through an entire financial plan, a full vision plan, an architect plan, working through the city. And I will say the city assisted us with a temporary loan to make sure we went through all this, an $800,000 loan with the leadership of Ian Oglesby, helped us get that done. And then we received our $41 million. We paid, first thing we did is paid back the city. So we got that out the way. But that vision all came about in 3 years, and understanding and bringing all the organizations together to understand what tax financing is and all. That's really the only process that these low-income housing units are using. If you remember the Hannah Assembly Apartments throughout the city, I think they had 18 buildings. They did all of theirs. In Marina, you had the Charles Apartments. They did theirs, and in Salinas. So this is the only tool that where there's no one has to pay a dollar back at the end of the entire program. We will own brand new facility, and we are happy. But let me tell you the most important thing. This facility had a $740,000 financial loss almost per month. Pretty much, we receive $1 million. I'm just throwing this number out. We receive $1 million, and 700,000 was trying to keep the facility from falling apart. I mean, we had rails falling over, concrete, everything, flooding every year. The rains came, there was flooding in these facilities. I mean, in the houses. We were just throwing an average close to $600,000 to $700,000 out a year. And we have resolved all of those issues and all those problems, and got all the landscaping getting put in now, all of these things. So within the next 30 days, you're going to really start seeing the beauty of this facility. But the point is, when it rains, we're not going to worry about the roofs leaking and all that stuff no more. Or somebody calling us saying, hey, apartment 206G is flooded, 4 foot of water inside of it. We were getting some serious things. But you got to remember, all of this stuff happened or was built in the early 40s. So grading and all that stuff wasn't important back then compared to how it is. There was no floodplain and all that like it was now. So, I mean, regulations really came in and kind of cleaned it up. And the funny thing is, there's a perk pond on that property. There's a big old hole out there, which we found out belonged to the city of Seaside. It's a perk pond. And that, with the city and the engineers, we've worked out how to make that work and beautify it and make it work too as part of this development. So yeah, the old time is no longer. We're up to code, we say. Just like a gas station, you got to bring it up to code. Well, it's up to code, and now we'll see positive cash flow. And our goal really is, how can we help the city to maybe possibly make another low-income housing somewhere in the community? Those kind of partnerships is what's going to keep Seaside really working, is partnering up with local property owners or local nonprofits such as the Rotarians. You're a business person, still part of the organization, to build another facility, because the mission stays the same. Building a new facility just moves the mission to the new facility.
That's great. That's fantastic news to hear. And yeah, it's really amazing to hear just where that place started. I mean, and just to hear about all the different problems that it had, that you're not going to have anymore with these renovations. That's really fantastic news. One other question I had regarding Deja Blue, you mentioned organizing these festivals and working with all these different musicians and comedians. Right now, obviously, with the COVID, a lot of these performers are unable to perform in public spaces. Are they able to perform via Zoom or virtually, or is that even an option for them? How are they feeling during all this?
Well, we have artists that have shared their virtual type of performances and all, and we're looking at doing that same thing right there from the Deja Blue. But we're working slowly with the county health department regarding how we can do a small outdoor festival but and do it health wise. You know, and if you look at Broadway, it's a east west type of thing. Well, we were talking, well, what if we made everybody on the west side walk towards the west and everybody on the east side walk towards the east, and then put circles all in the middle like San Francisco did. And the only place you can sit or stand is in those circles,
Right.
and still have the stage on both ends. You know, those are things we got to work out with the city, and we got to work out with the county. And me as a business person, I think that government agencies, I understand we all want to protect each other, but you have to start looking at, because we don't know when this is going away. You have to start looking at different issues and programs and different events as an individual thing, and allow people to try something, try a run, because most people are aware of COVID, and most people are totally understanding of, as long as I follow the rules of COVID and the procedures that are set at that event, why could you not have it? And a good example is our backyard, in our patio. We're 6 feet apart all over. We have a rule, and you have to, when you come in, you have to wash your hands. The second thing is, you can't hug nobody. You can't stand up. You can sit in your seat. If you sit and you're eating and you're having a drink, you can take your mask off. If you get up, you got to put your mask on as you go to the bathroom. Two people, no more than two people can be walking or standing at any time, because everybody can see each other. These kind of things are what you call adjustment to your business, but it's an adjustment to what the environment has happened to us. And the health department really needs to understand that we're going to have to do something, because if not, small business, and you listen to the last report, small business is expected to lose over 75%. That is danger. I mean, small business is the motor and the drive of the whole United States, really, as far as hiring people. I mean, they got to start thinking, we understand COVID's here, and it ain't rushing to get out of here. Then you got to take step by step and allow people to adapt policies and stuff. You adapted a policy by putting us outside. So you put us outside, but then you say you can't have music outside. Well, we're outside. I mean, what more do we have to do if we're outside? You just saying you just want a body to come in there and then leave? People are used to enjoying their life in a free atmosphere. Now we're putting them into an atmosphere of controlled environment. And you can do that. You can, business people, we are thinking outside the box. I mean, that's what we have to do. We have to survive. So you got to think outside the box. I want to have an event, but I want to have it safe for everybody that comes in here, and that's what we got to get to. I mean, the big government got to understand that small business is going to have to survive by doing the inventive of the new things, and they need to kind of understand that has to happen.
No, absolutely. This COVID, I mean, I think we're all pretty tired of hearing the word unprecedented. I think we've heard that so many times. I mean, it goes to that saying, that's what this has been. It's certainly thrown a curveball to business owners like yourself, and to everyone, essentially. But I do have faith that thinking outside the box and innovative thinking, which you've obviously shown in putting together these festivals and bringing all these people together, all these creative forces with Deja Blue, and the work that you've done with Monte Manor, I think we'll find a way. It's not going to be we're not going to go back to what we considered normal before, but I do have faith that we will be able to have this sort of lively culture and music and good food, and be able to live our lives and have some semblance of what we had before. I think we'll find it. I think
the average vaccine in real normal life every day, the average vaccine takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years to be marketed, tested, put on the market, and given to anyone. It takes 3 to 5 years. Trying to get a vaccine in 8 months, it's never going to work. And you just saw Johnson & Johnson just pulled back, and they were actually the first one going in. Now they've pulled back. You just can't rush the issue. So you have to adapt new ways of a lifestyle with COVID, and you can do that. You can do that. I mean, temperature checking and talking to people and protecting yourself with face masks and all. You can do all that, and businesses can do all that and still survive if they just follow the guidelines. But you got to have the health department and the city to understand that, okay, it's, you know, you come in and inspect if the toilet is right. Well, why don't you come in and inspect that we set up for COVID instead of just worrying about, you know, the planning department where you made all your money? Well, how about operational? Now that might be a new policy that has to be implemented in all cities, that you can do events, but you need to get pre-approved before you do that event. That could happen. That might be the smartest policy, and then that takes away the liability and that takes away the risk, because you are implementing a real, say, pro-COVID type of atmosphere. Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, hey, Daryl, thank you so much for your presentation today and talking about your life, your experiences here in Seaside, the work that you've done. Like I said, the past year and a half for me has been a crash course in the history of Seaside and the people that have built it. And I'm glad to meet someone like yourself who can speak to that. So thank you for your presentation today.
thank you very much.
All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now. And like I said.